You'd be surprised to find out that some of the loneliest women that I have gotten a chance to, you'd be surprised to find out that some of the most, ugh, you'd be surprised to find out that some of the most loneliest women I've spoken to, you'd be surprised to find out that some of the most loneliest women that I have gotten a chance to speak to, you'd be surprised that some of the moment, some of the loneliest women that I have spoken to are women in genuinely, deeply loved relationships. She has a partner that adores the heck out of her. He shows up. He goes to the social gatherings. Everybody tells her how she's lucky, she's blessed. They share with her that they wish they had a partner like hers. But yet, she's left wondering, what am I missing? Because, yes, technically, he's every sense of the word a good guy. But what I'm having a problem figuring out is why I'm not feeling it. Why am I not connected to that? Why am I not seeing what everybody else is seeing? Well, in this video, I want to share with you exactly why. So if you yourself have felt this specific kind of loneliness in your relationship, the kind of loneliness that lives in a relation where you know that you're loved, but you don't feel like you're loved, I want you to stay with me because I'm about to share with you everything about this. I want you to stay with me because I'm about to share with you everything you think. Because I want you to stay with me because what I'm about to share is going to shift the way that you think you feel the way that you feel. Okay? And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Hi, my name is Chantel Anderson, and I help women who are loved by great men but still feel lonely in their relationships finally feel partnered. Here's the truth: you can be loved and still feel emotionally lonely. You can have the husband that shows up, that sticks around, that shows up for his kids, that loves on your mom and loves on your family members. You can have the husband that has a great job and takes initiative. You can have the man who has a wonderful relationship with God and we're not going there. We're not going there. And still feel emotionally lonely, not because love is missing, but because you are. Right? Let's take a second to look at what love actually is. Love is the act of caring for one's spirit, inner self, whatever you want to call it, inner child. You get to know one's spirit by the emotional things that they share with you: thoughts, feelings, needs, and wants. And when you are repeatedly hearing and receiving the needs, the thoughts, the wants, and needs, the needs, the thoughts, the needs, the thoughts, the wants, and feelings. when you've got a chance to observe someone's thoughts, feelings, needs, and wants over a period of time, you get to know who they are on the inside. And now, as you care for that, and then you, and then you, that allows you to get really specific with how you show up, how you care for that individual. That is what we call love. When you're pouring into one's spirit, that is love, pouring into one's cup. That is how we love ourselves, and that is how we love others. The disconnect comes in. So, where does a disconnect come in? If someone's pouring into my cup, why am I not able to feel the love that they're giving me? The disconnect happens when the needs, the wants, your thoughts, and your feelings are not your own. They're the ones that you've created because you, your needs, your wants, okay, they're the ones that you created because you were afraid that you're, hold on now. We're cooking, hold on, we're cooking, hold on a second. So here's where the disconnect comes in. When your needs, thoughts, wants, and feelings are not your own, the ones that you share, the ones that you project, the ones that you communicate are not your own. So now your husband or your partner is meeting those needs, those wants, those feelings, those thoughts, right? He's listening to those feelings, he's listening to those thoughts, he's meeting those needs, he's meeting those wants, but they're not yours. So as much as you know that he loves you, and as much as you know that he's trying to support you and trying to show up with you for you and trying to show up for you, you will never feel it. Now the reason why, so why do we give, so how does that happen? How does one share needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings that are not their own? Two reasons. Reason number one, they were always taught that their own needs, wants, feelings, and thoughts were never accepted. That in order to make a relationship work, they pretty much had to disappear. Two, you have gone such a long time not communicating, ignoring your own needs, ignoring your own wants, your thoughts, and your feelings that now you don't even know, now you can't even understand them yourself. It's like a foreign language. You don't even know where to get started. If someone were to ask you, what do you need? You're like a deer in a headlight caught. If your partner was to ask you, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? You're like a deer caught in headlights with no clue how to answer that. Third, when we allow, I said third, and you know what? There's a third one. Oftentimes, what happens, and oftentimes as a result, what happens when we ignore our needs, our feelings, our wants, and our thoughts is that they don't go away. They accumulate and they build and they build and they build until they are triggered. And now it's like and it becomes like and it acts like a volcano. and it acts like a volcano ready to erupt. It acts like it acts and it acts. Think of a volcano that is erupting. As it comes out with so. As it comes out, the pressure that has all that built up emotion, all that built up neglect, all that built up emotion comes out, and yeah, all that built up emotion erupts, and it comes out in frustration. It comes out in anger. And now we're arguing about things that we don't even know what we're arguing about, or we're getting mad at the things we don't even know why we're getting mad for. And we're frustrated, and we don't even know why we're frustrated. That is just the after effect of neglecting our own needs, wants, frustrations. Sorry, our own needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings. Now, here's another angle I want you to look at. Not because you haven't so one might ask, well, if we're not communicating our needs and our wants, our thoughts and our feelings, how is it possible for our partner to continue loving us? Valid question. But just because you're not communicating your needs and your wants, your thoughts and your feelings, doesn't suggest that there aren't any. How you treat yourself is how your partner treats you. If you are tired of feeling neglected, then it's time to stop neglecting yourself. If you are tired of feeling unheard, then it's time to start listening to yourself. If you are feeling resentful, then it's not that your partner is not showing up for you in the way that you like him to, although that is too, can be, If you're tired of feeling resentful, then start giving yourself, stop holding from yourself the very things that you need. Not communicating your needs does not mean that there aren't any. Not communicating your needs suggests that, no. Because when we're not communicating our needs, yeah, I think that's it. I think it's fair to say. Because it's not like and don't get me wrong, it's not like your husband's saying, oh, she neglects herself, I'm going to neglect her. It's that if you haven't thought about yourself in this way, he's not going to think that you need to be thought about in that way. If you are not meeting your needs in this specific way, he's just going to think, oh, my wife doesn't care about that. My wife doesn't need that. That's not a big deal to my wife. Another question might say, well, I did say my needs. Another question that might come up for you might be, well, you know what, Chantel, I did say my needs. I did say my wants. I did share my thoughts. I did share my feelings. What we need to understand is when you know that your partner loves you and wants to show up for you, no, I'm not going to say that. Here's the biggest thing about communication that a lot of women miss is that communication is more than just your words. Think of your words like the envelope to a letter. No. Yeah. It's more than just your words, right? We communicate with our tone, we communicate with our facial expressions, we communicate with our body expressions, we communicate with so much, right? And one of the first things that hits somebody in a conversation is the energy. Before anybody opens their mouth, it's the energy. This happens, this is not just about, and I don't want you to think I'm saying, I'm saying, oh, girl, woman, here's another, no. I don't want you to, this is human nature. This is not man versus woman. And what I want you to know is this is not a blame game. This is not another thing that I have to fix or another thing that I have to correct or another way I have to bind myself and fit myself into a box. What I'm talking about is human nature. It's how we interact with each other. Just like if your husband came in with a certain energy, that energy that you're feeling is going to tell you exactly whether or not you want to ignore what he has to say or you want to listen to what he has to say, or what he says is not going to be interesting, or if it is going to be interesting. It's the same way that a stranger will come to us. We judge the energy before we think it's safe enough to speak. This is just how humans are. So if you have been holding on to your needs, your wants, right? Your thoughts and your feelings, or if you're not aware of what they are, or if you never found them acceptable to begin with, chances are the message that you're delivering, not just with your words, but with your tone, with your body language, is not coming out clear. And before the message is delivered, it's not coming out clear. There's a breakdown somewhere. Because the goal is, when we communicate, we want to be able to clearly state a place, a space, and a time for our partners to meet us so we can get met. But if the place and the space and the time is unclear, how does one meet one? I think that's what I'm saying. Can we move on? But if it's not clear, how do you meet? How do you meet? Right? Okay. All right. So And it's with all these things that create the exhaustion. It's never so much that the exhaustion is just and these are the things, okay. Let me try to repeat that one more time a little bit better. So oftentimes, if you have a buildup of negative energy, if you have a buildup of neglect, emotion that never got heard, got suppressed, and the pressure built up, and then it just exploded, what is being communicated is not what you need, and it's not what you want. What is being communicated is all the frustration, all the anger, all the resentment. And then when we're not clearly communicating our needs and our wants, instead we're replacing it with anger, resentment, or exhaustion, the message gets foggy. The message is not clear. You might as well be speaking another language. And in a relationship, when a woman feels lonely and all she wants to do is feel partnered, it can be very frustrating and very exhausting to try and communicate and always feel like she's speaking another language. No matter how she tries to talk, her words are just not connecting and they're not being received. The exhaustion that you feel is not emotion. I don't like that. When this happens, the exhaustion is not so much the emotion that you feel. The exhaustion is the constant management of what you think you're allowed to feel versus what you don't feel you're allowed to feel. Right? What happens when every interaction has two conversations happening? What do I feel? I think I'm gonna get that out. Yeah. If every time you need to have a conversation, there's a million different feelings and a million different thoughts and a million different wants just swimming around and confusing you, trying to manage that becomes exhausting. If every time you want to have a conversation to let your partner know what you need, and you're constantly managing what you say, how you say it, the tone that you use, that's what's causing the exhaustion. If every time you and your partner are within the same dwelling space and you feel like you got to be alert, watching every tone, every sigh, every body language, picking up his energy, and being ready to pounce and emotionally regulate, that is what is exhausting you. That is what is draining the life out of you. And that contributes, no, it doesn't. You can feel exhausted. Yeah. And that contributes to, which, I don't want to say it. That is exhausting. And that exhaustion over a period of time creates loneliness. It creates resentment. It creates anger because the more that you're managing and you're performing, the more time you spend managing and performing in your relationship is the less time that you're actually present in your relationship, which means you are slowly disconnecting from yourself because you're not able to just be you. You have to be the wife, you have to be the mom, you have to be the professional, right? So it's always constantly pulling you out of yourself. This creates disconnection within yourself, and it also creates disconnection in the relationship. So even though you know your husband loves you or your partner loves you, you're still feeling lonely. It was never because love was absent, and it was never because love was absent, but because you were absent, and probably still are. Feeling partnered in our relationship, and for women who feel lonely in their relationship, um, and for women who feel lonely in their relationship, what they want to feel is like they have a partner. They want to feel emotionally connected, and they want to feel emotionally safe too. Connection and partnership require emotional visibility. It requires you to be able to share your needs, your wants, your thoughts, and your feelings safely. For them to be able to exist in the relationship, what, um, where you are where you can stay connected to yourself and allow your partner to be, where you can stay connected to yourself while staying connected to your partner. It's what are my needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings? Very clearly, very specifically, very detailed. And what are his? And how can we get our needs met without one having to suppress their needs for the other? That's where real partnership begins. It's where you stop performing to make the relationship work and you start being present, and you start being present within the relationship so that you can allow it to work. It just boils down to being honest. How honest can you be? The more honest you can be without fear of rejection, without fear of abandonment, without fear of being judged, determines how emotionally connected and how much and how partnered you will feel in your relationship. I think that's it. The relationship was never starving for more love, it was starving for more of you. And if you're listening to this realizing, wow, I actually don't even know. And if you're listening to this realizing, wow, I don't really even know how to stop performing in my relationships, or where do I even begin to start creating more presence in my relationships? That's exactly the work I do inside the partnership shift. It's a 12-week coaching program. It's a 12-week coaching experience for women who are tired of feeling exhausted, resentful, invisible, and angry. It's a 12 it's a 12-week coaching experience for women who are tired of feeling emotionally exhausted, resentful, or invisible in a relationship where love is present, where love already exists. So, if this video felt uncomfortably accurate, so if this video felt uncomfortably accurate, and you're ready to start feeling partnered in your relationship, you can apply to work with me. The link is down below. I'm curious, what resonated with you the most? Was this information helpful? Let me know down below.